Bangarang? By Majin Syeekoh. Bangarang!
You ready for this, Twilight? Am I ever, Rainbow Dash? Alright!
Rainbow Dash said as she lowered the vinyl record onto the gramophone in Twilight's study and lowered the needle onto it, releasing the plucking of guitar strings followed by a booming bass beat.
So, what do you think so far?
Dash asked.
I like it very...
Twilight started before she was cut off by hearing a very unusual word unlike any other she had ever heard. Well, it was like a word she had heard before, but the song provided no context for it to be used in, so she was left wondering as she mused on the noun she had heard. At least she thought it was a noun. Finally, the music stopped and Rainbow Dash lifted up the needle and stared at Twilight eagerly.
So, what do you think?
Well, Twilight said,
I can't really deny the musicianship involved in it, but there was one part that kind of threw me off.
Rainbow Dash said as she face-huffed.
What's wrong with this one? The first song I showed you, you didn't like the time signature. The second song, you had a problem with the tempo. Yeah, that.
Rainbow Dash sighed.
So what's wrong with this one?
Twilight looked down.
Well, technically nothing. There just was a word in it that I've never heard before. Oh jeez, all this over a word? Seriously, Twi?
Twilight leveled a glare at Rainbow Dash.
I know every word in the Iquish language, and I have never heard this word before. It's irking me to no end. Whatever,
Rainbow Dash said as she rolled her eyes.
So what word was it? I don't really want to say,
Twilight said as she blushed. Rainbow Dash giggled as she lightly hoofed Twilight's shoulder.
Come on, it'll be our secret. Okay,
Twilight said as she smiled earnestly at Rainbow Dash.
It was Bangarang. Oh, okay, that's...
Rainbow started before she froze.
What?
Twilight asked as she looked at Dash. Rainbow let out a small giggle. That giggling turned into a hearty chuckle, which morphed into raucous laughter as she fell to her back and kicked her legs into the air.
What?
Twilight asked.
No, it's just... Bangarang threw you off? Well, I had never heard it before. So?
Rainbow asked as she sat up.
Well, what if I want to use it in a sentence? I have no idea what part of speech it even is, let alone the definition. What if people laugh at me? What if I become a laughingstock based on my improper use of Bangarang?
Twilight shuddered.
I'll be laughed out of town right after I get my new castle. Imagine that, a princess laughed out of her own kingdom due to improper word usage. What'll Princess Celestia think of that? Whoa.
Rainbow Dash said as she waved her forehoofs in front of her.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Rainbow Dash stood up.
Did you even think to ask if Bangarang even has a meaning? A word with no meaning?
Twilight asked as she looked at Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash put on a smug grin.
Yeah, no meaning. So it can mean whatever you want it to.
Twilight raised an eyebrow.
Really? Yes, really.
Rainbow Dash said as she lifted the record off of the gramophone and slid it into the cover.
Well, I'm glad you at least liked the song. Yeah,
Twilight said as she fell to her haunches and tapped on her chin.
Whatever I want. Yeah, whatever you want. Well, see you later.
Rainbow Dash said as she left Twilight's study, leaving her alone with her own thoughts.
Whatever I want.
Rainbow Dash shuffled in bed, the moonlight dancing across her blanketed form as she tried to get some sleep. She was about to enter the sweet bliss of dreamland when she heard a knock on her door. Dash groaned and threw the cloud comforter over her head and drew it in tightly. No pony was going to disturb her sleep. Another loud series of knocks emitted from the door. Dash snorted.
Go away, it's...
she said as she removed her head from the blankets to look at the alarm clock on the nightstand.
3 a.m! It's actually 3:06.
Rainbow Dash sat up in bed.
Was that Twilight? Coming!
She mumbled as she jumped out of bed, trotted towards the door and opened it. It was indeed Twilight Sparkle, also her hair was mussed up. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she had a thick layer of soot on her face. Dash blinked a few times.
What happened to you? I made them! Made what? The Bangarangs!
Twilight said as she motioned to a large sack next to her.
You said Bangarang could mean whatever I wanted to, so I made a Bangarang. What's a Bangarang? A boomerang that explodes upon sharp contact with any surface. After I made the first one, it was so easy to make more. Plus, due to the incendiary nature of the device, it seemed prudent to make multiples. Hold on,
Rainbow Dash said as she held out a hoof.
You made multiple exploding boomerangs. Bangarangs, Rainbow Dash! It's important to use proper terminology. And yes, I made about 500. 500? Where did you get 500 boomerangs in 10 hours?
Twilight giggled.
It's amazing what you can requisition when you're a princess with a kingdom. Whatevs.
Rainbow Dash shrugged.
So what are you going to do with them?
Twilight said as she looked down at her bag of bangarangs.
I'm not exactly sure. I was more focused on actually making them. Why don't we throw them at thunderclouds? Well, I guess that would be a good way to test the feasibility. Good enough for me.
Rainbow Dash shouted as she reached into the bag, pulled out a boomerang and shot it into the sky, Twilight hurriedly following.
Wait!
Twilight shouted as she flew behind Rainbow Dash.
I haven't tested them in actual combat situations! Slow down! Not on your life!
Rainbow Dash said as she wound up her foreleg and chucked the boomerang into the sky towards a cloud, which it slightly missed.
Pony feathers!
Rainbow Dash shouted. She then witnessed the boomerang slice through the sky and right towards her. She reached out to catch it only for Twilight to shove her out of the way.
Hey, what was that for? They're bangarangs, Rainbow! They explode upon contact! Well, what's it going to make contact with now?
Her question was answered by a loud explosion as ponies turned their heads to see Rainbow Dash's house swallowed up by a massive fireball. They both hovered there, jaws dropped.
My house,
Rainbow Dash said.
My bangarangs,
Twilight said.
I was up all night making those. Hey!
Rainbow Dash shouted as she turned to face Twilight.
Those bangarangs took you like 8 hours to make. My house will take at least a week.
Rainbow Dash turned away.
At least Tank was at Fluttershy's for the night. I'm sorry, Rainbow Dash. That was insensitive of me. Darn right it was. And you're going to help me rebuild it.
Twilight's eyes widened.
But I don't know anything about cloud construction.
Rainbow Dash crossed her forelegs.
Well, it's about time you learned. By the way, can I stay at your place for the night? You were kind of responsible for blowing up my house. Me? Responsible? I'm not the one that wildly threw the bangarang. Well, I'm not the one who left a bag of 500 explosive boomerangs on my porch.
Twilight blew a strand of mane out of her eyes.
Fine, whatever, just don't make a mess. You mean how like my house was blown up? And it was 499. Not the point.
Twilight sighed.
Yes, you can stay at my castle, Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash huffed.
That's what I thought.
We here at Pony&Wolf Productions thank these amazing patrons of ours for their monthly support, without which all of this would not be possible. We sincerely appreciate it, and every dollar helps, is needed, and will be used to keep us going to produce audiobooks for your continued enjoyment. It is, now more than ever, important that you support your favorite creators if possible, due to YouTube changing in a way that is not very friendly to content creators. Especially small content creators, like us. In recent months, the names you see on screen have enabled Midnight and Visual Pony to keep going and only having to sell off part of their belongings to not end up on the street. As an incentive for everyone, Visual Pony has broken a vow and has promised to read and record Fallout Equestria, Murky number 7, should the monthly support reach $1,500. To be clear, This is the absolute minimum amount needed to keep the apartment and all bills paid without starving, while a production of this size is ongoing. The estimated time for this production would be 3 to 4 years, but people already said that Project Horizons was impossible to do, right? And now look who did it, so with Pony&Wolf, you know we can finish the job. For further information on how to support us, please have a look at the description of this video, as there are also other ways, like our merch store. Sincerely and forever yours, your Pony&Wolf team.